Tar, directed by Todd Field, coming back to the director's seat after a 16-year hiatus from since his previous film. This one stars Cate Blanchett, Noemi Merlant, Nina Hoss, Sophie Kauer, and Mark Strong. It was nominated for 6 Oscars this year: Best Film, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Lead Actress for Blanchett, Editing, and Cinematography. It's a mix of a thriller and a character study set in the world of high-end, high-class music. We follow Lydia Tár, a fictional conductor who is famed in the classical music world. She's on top of it, conducting philharmonic orchestras all over the world, currently in Berlin. She has a book coming out. She's working on this grand performance, which is meant to be the sort of crown jewel of her career in her work with this orchestra. She's giving out lectures at universities. In short, she's got it all. But we get a sense immediately that she likes to feel in complete control. She's very competent and clever in the way she handles her relationships with other people, politics within the orchestra, and at the same time it quickly becomes evident that she's exhibiting sociopathic behaviors, treating many of her relationships on a transactional basis, being very clearly cold towards even her close ones. And then slowly things begin to unravel around her, as on the one hand she becomes attracted to a new player in the orchestra and begins pushing the limits of what is and isn't professional, and on the other hand an event from the past comes back to punish her with consequences. Now, I know this is a pretty vague description because I don't really want to spoil anything. In general, though, the vibe of the film made me think of Whiplash and The Black Swan, because Tar is kind of similar to them both in a way that it explores someone obsessed with their work, and coincidentally in all 3 cases in a music-related field, someone suffering as a result of the effects that obsession has on their personal lives. However, I think that Tar is a magnificent companion piece to those 2, which I absolutely love. But at the same time, it's more than just about obsession. It's about many different things. It's about judging the art with separation from the artist and whether that's correct or not. It's about the need for control. It's about abusing power and playing with lives of others. It's about pride and hubris, and also about hypocrisy. It's about facing the consequences of your actions. It's also about feminism, or rather about being dismissive in regards to feminism while being a woman. Lydia at various points throughout the film insists that she didn't face any discrimination as a result of being a woman, and therefore sort of minimizes the importance of the feminist movements. And she also wants to, part of the plot is that she wants to change the rules of a female-only scholarship to allow men to get it as well. And as the story goes on, you sort of begin to realize that having this character be a woman sort of fools you, makes you think, oh, okay, well, she's a woman, so she's allowed to say all these things. But in many, many ways, she behaves like a man, including she even introduces herself at one point as her daughter's father. And there lies the thing. You have to consider how you would interpret this character as a whole if she were a man, and then realize you've actually been perhaps giving her some benefit of the doubt because she's a woman. In general, there are layers within layers in this film and in the story, and I don't want to discuss them all because part of the fun is getting to explore them on your own. What I do want to talk about some more with something that doesn't spoil the film, and is how well it is put together. First of all, the performances are all splendid, but Cate Blanchett is absolutely unreal in the role, and I'll be surprised if she doesn't win another Oscar for this one. It's a transformative performance, truly. Secondly, the way the film looks and sounds like is incredible. There's a lot of storytelling done through just the images instead of dialogue, and I appreciated the hell out of it. There's also the way the image and sound sort of work together to create a feeling of this kind of sterile isolation. For a large part of the film, the camera is steady with long takes and wide takes. There's the character, and there's a lot of negative space. The character is rarely in the middle of the shot, and also only in several key moments do we go into close-ups of the face. Otherwise, the camera chooses a wider angle, even when it's just a simple two-person dialogue. And similarly, the sound design is done in such a way that a lot of the scenes are very quiet, devoid of any sounds of the surroundings, focusing only on the one central thing. Sometimes it's dialogue, sometimes it's one particular sound or music. But I think both of those things are done to sort of underline the isolation of the character, to the focus on what's going on, but also a kind of to to evoke a feeling of a kind of cold loneliness. The character is visually isolated, surrounded by empty spaces, and then the words she speaks are audibly isolated, surrounded by silences. There is no music in the film except from the diegetic music of the instruments we actually see being played. And I thought that was a very bold choice in a movie that's about music, but it works. There's also an incredible patience in the way it's filmed and edited. And as I said earlier, a lot of longer, slower takes are present in the film. There's one scene in particular which made me just so excited. It's an unbroken take of Lydia talking to university students, giving them a sort of lecture or a workshop. And it goes on for such a long time, and she moves around the room, and camera moves with her and follows her and rotates and changes focus, and it's all one unbroken shot, and it's so impressive because it goes on for a long time, and Blanchett is acting the hell out of it. But it's not just a gimmick. It's not just a long scene that its merit comes from being long. Her dialogue in that scene is actually incredibly well written and makes for one of the more interesting points in this entire film. I also loved the attention to detail. As far as I can tell, all the music terminology used, the way people talk and behave, the way the music is played, it's all very, very real. Now, I could go on raving on and on about the film, but the gist of it is that I absolutely loved it, and I think it's my favorite movie of the year so far. It is a bit long, 2 hours, 38 minutes, and towards the end, it was just a little bit dragging, but when it finally gets to the very last scene, it kind of made it all worth it to me. I think it's incredibly well thought out and executed. It makes you think about several different themes it explored for days on. It's powerful and haunting. It's full of little details and tiny things that come together to create a really great whole. I mean, I thought it was spectacular on every front. Go check it out if you have a chance.